Yes, we definitely are going. We definitely are going to introduce ourselves and introduce our company. I was so touched when Lynn said Lynn Fuentes. I mean, we got married June in June last last year, and I couldn't be happier. And I'm so grateful that life introduced me to a beautiful person like you.
Yeah, it's been a fabulous time for us, especially at this stage of life. So that's really neat. And we have a great name, Fuentes.
Fuentes, which means sources. Yeah, we have both identified very quickly when we got together that we had two main areas of interest. One is to grow up, which is develop maturity and nobility and balance. And the other one is to wake up, which is to develop the nobility that I said before, the love, wisdom, compassion, and understanding of our spiritual life. My background has been that, and Lynn has a very long career, even a PhD in transpersonal psychology. And we saw that we can have a partnership not only in our personal life, but in our teaching life. And what we're doing is we're teaching products for help people to grow up and wake up. And in the grow up area, we have an online course. And in a combined area, we'll say we have a coaching of spiritual intelligence that we will talk a little bit about. And I teach a course on meditation based on the 5 skills that a person has to develop to be efficient and really make their meditation time count towards getting to a beautiful point inside of them.
Yes, and we're also doing a lot of writing. We're writing ebooks that support these 2 aspects that we're working with, growing up and waking up. Now, obviously, we can't go into enormous detail in the courses. You can only teach so much, and so we're hoping that the books offer supplemental information for people and ways that they can work on their own. We're offering this to people who've already spent some time on a personal and spiritual growth path, who have tried a number of areas and are interested in really understanding themselves in greater depth. I mean, we do work with newcomers as well, people who are just first waking up to the idea maybe there's something else out there. But most of our teaching is geared to people who have a little more development.
Yeah, and you're right, because one of the things that we notice is that more and more people in the beginning of their life are deeper and more profound than most people, let's say 30, 40 years ago. You're right.
Yeah. Well, the idea of waking up and growing up is out there in the personal growth and spiritual world. But a lot of people aren't really sure what those terms mean. And the way we define it is waking up is about your spiritual self, your inner development, how you're in touch with that larger sense of the world and yourself. Whereas growing up is really about how you manifest that. What are the qualities that become a part of you? What kind of wisdom do you have? What kind of compassion do you have to give? What kind of character traits have you developed in yourself? And excuse me. So the 2 of them enhance each other. It's very clear that a person who has great spiritual depth and no character development can actually be a danger. We hear stories of gurus who run around, bilking their followers of money and things like that. And you wonder, how can that happen? And it happens because they're spiritually awake, but they are not grown up. And then we have people who are very grown up, who are, very mature, but have no inner life and tend to find themselves in a state where they think, what is the meaning of all this? There is no meaning to life. So developing both sides of yourself takes you to a place of both inner depth and ability to manage in the world in a way that that makes your life and the life of people around you better?
Most people will know about something like personal development or personal growth, and they go to seminars for personal development, personal growth, and other people go to spirituality seminars and they read books about spirituality. But there is an idea floating around that you either develop yourself and be in this world, or you're spiritual and out of this world. Well, growing up and waking up is a more mature approach and more realistic approach, because we are living this human experience and we are having a spiritual presence in our life. And I've been, for a long time, the last 43 years, practicing meditation and cultivating my waking up. But I also understand the importance of being a mature person and being able to deal with this world and work in this world and deal with the day-to-day things of the world. You know, so I was trying to develop a way to make meditation practical for the regular folk. But then I realized that if the regular folk does not have a personality development, a growth development, this is not going to work. So we started our relationship, but at the same time we started thinking about that, and we understood, wow, people need to transform and they need to wake up. So we one day say, okay, well, let's teach transformation teaching. And oddly enough, the name transformationteaching.com was not taking, and I took it as a signal. Yeah, we need to do that. We need to teach people how to transform and at the same time how to wake up. And that's what we're doing. We are joining the East that has been looking for spirituality and the West that has been looking into the modern way of living to a next level of spiritual developed people, and taking development to people that just do the spiritual part. You know, it's basically what we think is a great need to integrate both skills and both parts of the human condition and human experience.
We were at a conference. It was an integral theory conference, and it featured Ken Wilber, somebody who had been really, really important in both of our lives. We got to the conference, I got to the conference, and the first night they had an icebreaker, which was something called back dancing, which I'd never heard about, but anyway, I was willing to try. And back dancing consists of finding a partner, putting your backs against each other and dancing for 90 seconds, and then going on and finding another partner. So the idea is you introduce yourself to a whole bunch of people, but you don't have to actually deal with them for part of the time. So I was in the way back of the room, and they started the music and asked all 400 of us in the conference to stand up. And I did, and I turned slightly, and I saw this hand coming toward me from all the way across the ballroom. And it was like something parting of the Red Sea, because all these people fell away, and attached to the hand was this man who came up to me and he said, "I am Jose Ricardo Fuentes." And so I said, "I'm Lynn Royster," and we turned back to back and we danced a bit and faded off into the crowd. And we didn't see each other again for a couple of days. When we were in a breakout group, out of these 400 people, there were 7 potential rooms to go to, and there were, within each of the rooms, people were divided up, and we ended up in the same small group. And all of a sudden in this group, he leaped up again and said, "Lynn, I've been looking everywhere for you." So I was immediately taken aback. I didn't know what to do with this, and I thought, oh no, all these people are just going to be following us just going to be examining us for the rest of the conference. I don't know if you want
that. We connected and we started to, talk to each other, and we found that we were having great love for Ken's work, and that influenced our life. And Lynn had a long practice of meditation and health and growing up and waking up, and I did have one too, and we both were single and free. And I was looking at a very beautiful woman that I wanted to spend my life with.
Good.
So I did everything to make that happen.
And he did. He makes things happen. And one of the things he made happen was starting a business. He said, you know, I've always wanted to do a business with my wife. So there we were, plunged into the business. Yes, business of life.
Tell me about the 15 things you wrote back, your dissertation for why it wouldn't work.
Oh yeah, well after we met at the conference and we went back, he was living in Colombia at the time and was in the United States and had gone on to another conference, and I went back to Dallas and we Skyped. But I thought, this is never going to work. This is a man's in another country. I just ended a relationship with somebody 1,000 miles away. I thought, I'm not going to start one 2,000 miles away. So I wrote him an email saying the 15 reasons why it was absolutely impossible for us to have a relationship. But it didn't faze him. Nothing phases him. I've learned he's totally imperturbable. And we continued to talk. And as a result, I decided, you know what, we've got to see if something's there. And so we...
Well, one of the things is, I mean, you live in Colombia, what are you going to do? What she didn't realize is that I could pick up my life in a moment and just come back to the States. I'm an American citizen. And I said, well, I mean, if that's your problem, I can be there in 2 days. And I did.
Yes, he did. And he came with it was very, very simple. He came with 2 suitcases and a whole bunch of books that were almost identical to my books. It was one of the oddest things. He started opening his books. And I said, I have that book. And he was looking at my bookshelf and he said, you know, I have those books. So it was very strange.
I bet the